Okay, welcome everybody to this meeting of Barnoldswick Town Council. First of all, do we have any apologies for absence? So we've got
Yeah, by right time, Steve.
and Steve.
Yeah.
Do you have any declarations of interest?
Civic.
Chairman, can I declare an other registrable interest
Yes.
on item 20
Yes.
as a member of Lancashire County Council, and that's item I, which is a County Council initiative,
Right.
and then item 23, the Pride in Place, as a member of Pendle Borough Council that's administering it. So there might be other declarations on that one.
Chris?
Similarly on Pendle Council.
On both those items, Chris, yeah.
On 23.
On 23.
Yeah, on Pride in Place, it's another registrable interest.
On to open forum, we have some members of the public with us tonight, and thank you very much for coming along. They're here to speak about, well, I'll call it box, but I think they may have some ideas. Up to you guys, if we've got Mark and Eve.
Yeah.
I think it's
First, I can thank the Town Council for everything they've done. We're a new business to the Square, which comes to 2 years old. And we recognise all the hard work that you do, so we are appreciative of everything that you do. We chose Barnoldswick over 3 other venues, simply because there was lots going on. And we were really pleased. And if you know our bar, we've extended it again in the short term, just because of the demand, which has been really good. So yeah, so we're keen to sort of see what's happening if box is not, well, I don't know if it's officially been announced, it's not going ahead, but we hear it's not going ahead. But what your ideas, your one-thing ideas to replace that one big event with, say, several small events? And if so, how would that be managed? Would it be just managed by you? Would you be looking for input from those other businesses on the square? So just really just to sort of find out where you are with that at the moment.
okay. We will be discussing it later in the agenda. We note your ideas and welcome them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, like I said, that will be coming up later in the agenda, so it gives us something to think about. Have you all got minutes of the last meeting? Can somebody forward those as an accurate record, please? Oh, sorry, you were going to ask me.
Well, Chairman, I'm happy to move them with a couple of amendments which on minute 92 B, the first sentence should read, Councillor David Whip proposed the draft budget subject to the following, and then it goes into the list that we agreed at the meeting. And then at the bottom of that paragraph, it says Barley Pride and Parks projects utilise both of these budgets for Pride in Place projects. The funding reserves for work on parks of £10,000 to also be added to this. What I proposed, Chairman, was that the funding in reserves for work on parks of £10,000 be included within that amount.
Not in addition to.
Not in addition to it. Chairman, we received £10,000 for working parks from Pendle Council's area committee, and part of that was to replace litter bins and other work in the parks. The intention in what I moved at the last meeting was to incorporate that funding within the £20,000, not to provide an additional £10,000. The amount advised, and there's another bit at the top of the next page, but the amount that Pendle Council is expecting the Town Council to provide is £26,500, not £36,500. So the 10,000 is backfilling the 20,000 that we put in the budget. And the other amendment, not amendment, Chairman, but correction, at the top of the following page, the Clerk had concerns about also that the environmental scheme's budget was utilising previous years. Councillor Wick proposed that 6,500 of the Barley Pride environmental schemes be allocated to the Pride in Place Impact Fund programme. What the meeting agreed to do was leave £10,000 in the environmental fund uncommitted, so that if projects or expenditure comes up during the year, that's available then to do it. And that, Chair, is consistent with the revisions to the minutes previously. So I move them as a correct record, subject to those revisions.
Second then?
Chair, I was present at the meeting and it doesn't have a list on present on the first page.
It doesn't have what, sorry?
It doesn't not have a listed on the first page.
Alright, so that's another correction. So given those corrections, do we have a second then? Looking on the finance, I've got an emergency item to bring in at this point, and it concerns potholes in Victory Park and the Guild Chapel access road. Not sure where that is, where is it?
Not to do with Town Council. No, but we don't need to worry about that bit.
No, forget that bit, it's just the Victory Park stuff. So I've not got a broken down figure for that, David. Have you?
Chairman, I may have, but it's the bottom section, is it?
To the bottom four figures.
So, Chairman, if I can explain,
Yeah,
a member of the public alerted myself to some potholes which could cause injury or damage on the access road in Victory Park. And I arranged for Pendle Council to have their engineers to have a look at them with a view to getting a price for the Town Council, which has been provided. In order to be cost effective, the engineers suggested combining it with work to Gill Lane, and I think the sum in question is
£203.50.
if that's the sum in question.
Yeah, that's
There's two boxes at the bottom, I think. You've got to add them together.
I've got four.
it's
So it's 203.
it's 108, 174. That's 200 and whatever in there. 108, 174. Sorry. 274.
Yeah,
208 and plus 68.
292, 350.
Near enough.
Near enough.
There's contingencies as well, so it's less than £400.
Okay.
Chairman, could I propose that
You can.
we do indeed authorise this expenditure?
Yeah, we can't have any claims coming in, can we? Can I have a second then? Randy?
Yeah.
All those in favour? Thank you, David. Will you initiate that? David?
Sorry?
Will you initiate that?
Yeah, I'll make sure it's done, Chair.
Thank you. It's also finance, you've had figures which Joe's provided, which is just the usual expenditure since the last meeting. I don't know why I've got this humongously document here.
It's because we asked for everything breaking down in each header, so we can see where everything was going and which budget header it was spent under.
Okay, yeah.
Chairman, I'm happy to move the expenditure set out. In terms of our usual resolution to authorise payments arising before the next meeting, can I move that as well? But count it in that we authorise payments to be made.
Yeah.
Because the normal system of delegation isn't applicable.
Yeah, I will come back onto that subject further down the agenda. Yeah, in theory, yeah, that's correct. We have a second there. All those in favour? Thank you.
Chair,
Yeah.
I can raise this later on the agenda, but if you look at the back page, there's the payments for the rent, or should I say work in lieu of rent, for the store at the back of things.
Yeah.
And we do have that agreement considered later on in the agenda.
Yeah.
But there are two issues that are outstanding on the building itself.
Right.
And the first one is that it needs rendering in order to give it a waterproof exterior.
Yeah.
And the door needs some treatment or painting. So perhaps when we pick this up later on the agenda,
Yeah.
we can consider how we're going to manage those additional works.
Well, I assume you're not going to
included.
we're not going to do that contract until we're happy with the building work.
I'll let you talk to Suki.
We'll come back to it. Coming to reports, I've just got the report from the general purposes meeting, which was cut short.
Chairman, I would move the minute insofar as it goes.
Right. Second,
Chair,
no. Hold
yes,
on.
I'm not listed as present on the
You're definitely here.
I will accept that.
With that correction. Callum, yeah, I think it's on. No. Did I have a second with that correction? Brilliant. All those? Because we have a majority there. All those are going to finish up, please.
Sorry.
Right. I have a proposal which is that we have a full council meeting monthly for the foreseeable future, well, not with a view for it being forever, just to get us over some of the difficulties that we're experiencing because we're lacking a clerk. Callum.
I'll second that, Chair.
David.
Chairman, we have got a meeting in April.
Yeah, the next 2 months.
And then we'll have a meeting in May. The annual meeting determines the frequency of meetings. So I would suggest that, and we can't set meetings in advance of the annual meeting. So it would be something to be considered at the annual meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, we've already got 2 meetings in the calendar.
I accept that. That's fine. It's just something to bear in mind. I'll pause until we really back on the even keel and we got to step it up. Next item, establishment of the staffing committees. Another proposal I'm putting forward, and the reason I'm putting it forward is it's following a conversation we had about our HR panel, and the feedback I got off Mark about the HR panel was that it's not really constitutional, it's not, shouldn't be making any decisions, it's an informal meeting. And I think we really do need a well-structured staffing committee. I've robbed somebody else's terms of reference. They're not too onerous. You've all had a copy of those. So I talk them before I make a formal proposal. David?
Chairman, I think it's well constructed. You're quite correct, the HR panel didn't have any decision-making powers and it merely recommended things to the full council meeting. In terms of appointments, and Chair, you participated in this, the council has appointed special committees to do the appointment, so I think this comprehensively regularises the situation. Just a few points.
Yeah.
And paragraph 4.1 says that the committee should have full delegated powers to take decisions on the council staffing levels and requirements. Chairman, that seems to me to create a tension between the responsibilities of the council as a whole, the full council, in that only the full council can set the budget. So the question mark I put here is, should this be reserved to the full council, or can we add at the end of that sentence, within budgets, so it would read that the committee has full delegated powers on staff levels and requirements within the budget of the council, and then I think that boxes out.
Yeah, I'm happy to add that to the draft.
Thank you. And then on 4.3,
Yeah.
so it says that successful shortlist applicants for posts beneath the role of clerk be interviewed by the chair of the staffing committee and the town clerk, who will submit recommendation to the staffing committee to ratify. And the question mark I put there is, would that be better for any 2 members of the committee? And I say that in the knowledge that it's not always possible to for somebody who may have a job to be available and it is beneficial to have some flexibility in terms of who can do it. So I would replace chair with any two members of the committee.
Sorry, Dave, what number were we
4.3.
4.1, sorry, I'm on 4.1. No, it doesn't make sense. Right, sorry, go on. You keep the correction. Only two members.
That's my suggestion. Further down, Chair.
Would that exclude the clerk then?
No. So it would be, I'm going back to it now, interviewed by any two members of the committee and the clerk.
Right.
So it's to replace chair with any two members of the committee. Further down, Chairman, 4.6.
Yeah.
It says the staff committee to have delegated powers to consider and implement pay awards, increments and payroll management.
Within the budget, yeah.
Well, but Chairman, the standing orders require the full council to consider remuneration at its meeting in January, budget setting meeting in January. So there's a conflict between doing what this says as it stands and the rules of the council. So my suggestion would be the staffing committee recommend, considering, right, to have, what I'm trying to get to, Jen, is that the staffing committee recommends those matters to the full council. I am actually written out exactly what it would say.
Consider recommendation.
We're covering standing orders on item 18, so I want to keep that in there. Put what's in the standing orders. And
Yeah.
how we feel.
How about if we just take the word implement out now, for now?
Yeah, to consider and implement, consider pay awards, implement the payroll manager. I mean, I think if you then add, make recommendations to the full council, you've got something that's workable.
Yeah, I mean, we'll leave that.
And then Chair 4.11. Chair was to act as line manager. I've just put a question mark on that. The current arrangement is that the chairman of the town council is the person to whom the clerk would go in the first instance. So
Yeah, I think, I personally think we should change that. I think the chair of the council should be at the next stage, should there be an appeal or
yeah, okay.
if it needs taking further.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Chair? Sorry, can I add to that?
Sorry?
Can I add to that? Because I think this is a really good move that instead of, that whoever it is will actually have a line manager rather than 12 people, if you like, because I don't know how that worked. It's just going back to your point, David, it's just, will that when we're selecting that person, or somebody's put themselves forward, I would imagine they need to be available during working hours to at least liaise with the town clerk at some point. Because if it's somebody's got a full-time job, when you're actually going to ever have any discussion between you. So it's just a point of consideration. I think it's a good move that's it's just thinking about that might impact the role itself and who puts themselves forward and gets voted in.
Yeah, I would hope that the clerk would actually be fairly independent. Actually, only would we need that line management should something be going wrong or somebody else be having a problem.
I just can't imagine not being having access to a line manager during my working hours. I don't know how that works. I don't know what other people think, but
It's same as it is now.
It's going to be a counsellor, isn't it? And counsellors are not necessarily available. I'm just worried that Gillian had a bit earlier, I don't like you yet, so.
I think it's on a similar vein really. But mine relates to sort of 2.2. I know on 2.1 first, so the staffing committee shall consist of 5 town councillors to be elected every year at the annual meeting of the town council. So the council chair shall not be elected as a member of this council, so that's fine. And then 2.2, where it says when making appointments to the staffing committee, consideration shall be given as to a member's previous experience or skills. So how is that process going to work? Is this sort of meeting where we're saying, right, well, this is the opportunity to apply, so put your application forms in? If so, is there a process for that? Is there a form? Or do you just envisage people that are interested in that role?
To make themselves known.
Well, to actually put forward that, because apparently, the skills are related to the scope. So the scope is number 4. So it's all the items. So it's all the items under number 4. So I'm assuming that people will be applying based on their experience and skills relating to the scope. And is that, when would the deadline be for that to put that application forward? Would it be on an email, or would you have a specific form? Or
The short answer is I don't know. What I see happening with this document is that it gets knocked into a bit more shape before crucially the May meeting, when I think we'll kick off the staffing committee and actually have people on it.
right, well that's fine. However, so basically when is the meeting, the annual meeting?
May.
Right, okay. So people should be applying for that before May or from May?
Yeah, before.
Before.
We have one more meeting before that meeting.
Yeah. So how would you like people to apply from here? In what format? Would that be an email? Would that be on an application form?
It will be a show of hands at the next meeting, probably.
So our application forms would go in as a paper record into the next meeting for discussion.
We could do an application form.
Yeah.
Don't see why not.
Okay.
Yeah. One year, 2 months.
So is that for the 11th meeting, 11th of April?
Yes.
So the deadline's the 11th of April, or a week before?
Yeah, we'll put something out before that meeting. So given that this is a draft document, needs knocking into a bit of shape, we've got a bit nearer. Dave's come up with some suggestions, Gillian, you come up with a suggestion. We'll revisit it. And when I'm talking we, probably myself and Leanne, you'll have a look at this. Yeah.
Sorry, there's one, well, there's some, in paragraph 2.1, I think we can delete after an ordinary election. That's superfluous. But it does beg the question as to what happens after an election. You have an election at the beginning of May.
Yeah.
The annual meeting's a couple of weeks later, it's within a couple of weeks. At that point, you could have a completely new set of councillors. So the point that Jill was making, you end up in a position position where you don't know what
We've
people
nominated somebody for this committee and you're right now,
The-
go on then, yeah.
the paragraph 4.13 is another one where it says to have delegated powers. I think that's another one that it should say the staffing committee to review pension arrangements and their recommendations to the full council. Again, because it's a budgetary issue.
Yeah. Okay, I've got that.
So with those suggested revisions, I'd second what you proposed.
So I'm not asking for us to approve the terms of reference at this point. What I am asking is that we propose having the staffing committee, forming a staffing committee.
Yeah.
Yeah? You second that? All in favour?
Is that, sorry, can I just have a quick question on that?
Of course you can.
How many times per year are you saying that staffing committee is?
I don't think we've got that far.
We're not that
I think that might sort of be down to the staffing committee to decide.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
That will be decided at the May meeting. The full council in May sets the
Yeah.
timetable for everything.
Okay. Next, role of the clerk. You've been given the description that we created for the locum clerk position. Just wanted to obviously we have to make that decision, we can't wait for council, we have to get cracking on that. Again, it's a borrowed one. I think it's mostly very good. But just wanted to talk about what we actually want from a clerk in the future. And I think what Leon and myself are proposing, obviously Leon's not here so she can't, it becomes, in some ways, a smaller job. So we're talking 20 hours on this. I would propose that the clerk does clerking, the key stuff, it's laid out here what those responsibilities are, and I think personally we should keep it to that, keep it as a nice tight function where the key things are being dealt with, the finances, everything that's listed there basically. And any other roles, which if we're looking at what Joe did, certainly some of those roles I don't think Clark should be doing. I think somebody else could be doing that. I really feel strongly that we should keep the clerk doing clerky things and not other things that other people are doing those other things. So it's just food for thought. Oh,
Thanks, Chair. I don't disagree with your suggestion around clerk's responsibilities. However, I do very much question our ability to hire under a 20-hour contract,
okay.
especially in a permanent position. I know we tried the 20-hour thing with the admin assistant previously and really struggled to get someone to fill that role originally.
Right. Yeah, take that on board.
Especially for the qualification level we're asking for. Certainly someone with those will be looking for full-time employment. However, we could look to different working arrangements, 30-hour work week, for example. But
I did look at a lot of adverts that have been placed previously on Valk, and a lot of those were a short number of hours. I'm talking town councils, I'm not talking little parish councils, obviously, because they're different. But yeah, I take your feedback.
I support this. I think it's a valid point. Only time will tell. Maybe people that are coming to retirement actually want, with the skill set, actually want their right to life, you know what I mean, and not a full-time job. My question is how successful the advert has been in attracting somebody and where it's gone out, because that might also highlight or eliminate what I was talking about.
We've had one applicant so far.
And has it actually been advertised?
Through Valk, who pushed it out through their newsletter.
Okay.
It took a lot of non-town parts, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So that might be a geography thing then.
Yes.
So is it, are there any plans to try and put it out through other networks for more local people to apply?
I think basically we're quite a short closing date on this,
Yeah.
and that was probably the best way to get it out there.
Totally agree. Just if we're not going to be successful, we only got one applicant. Does the applicant meet this criteria?
And for this local position, we really want somebody who's got some experience.
Yeah.
We're not going to have
So
to,
it's not somebody
not going to have to put a lot of time into just for. I mean, it could be well be that they turn into the permanent position. You're it, you know. Okay, so food for thought. I will return to this at the next meeting. We'll see where we're at with the local position. David?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. In terms of the specification,
Yes.
one of the essential criteria is certificate in local council administration. That's a SILCA accreditation. And then it goes on to say, or equivalent level 4 competence. I don't understand what level 4 competence is.
I don't.
So what I'm concerned at here is the SILCA accreditation is very niche, very, very niche, and there'll be lots of people out there who are perfectly competent,
Yeah.
but don't have that. So I'm just concerned that the demonstrable equivalent level 4 competence is something that means that sensible, competent people would be able to make that thing.
Right.
And I don't know what that thing is, so I'm a bit
We don't know what level 4 competence is.
yeah.
We could almost take the word level 4, the words level 4 out, couldn't you? Equivalent competence. Yeah. Okay. More on that later. Next one's a proposal. I'm proposing that we accept a new code of conduct. This one's, again, I've got it off from the council. It seems pretty thorough. I like the fact that it relates to the normal principles. We're not reinventing the wheel. This is written in. I suspect this is probably pretty similar to the Borough Council's code of conduct. I think it just makes things a little bit clearer than our pre-existing one, which I don't know that anybody's ever read anyway.
Yeah.
Kevin?
Thank you, Chairman. I think when people are elected, this is one of the documents that they get, and certainly it's been in the pack that people have had. I appreciate that some people around the room have been co-opted, and it may be that they haven't been issued with the pack. I'm not sure. But the one that you've picked from somewhere else, that's got quite a lot of explanatory notes in it, which I don't know whether they're essential or whatever. But the code is essentially the same as the one that was agreed way back when, and indeed is similar in open exactly the same really in the key respects with the code of conduct for members that is Pendle Council's. My query is when we agreed to be councillors and we signed the thing, we agreed to adhere by the National Code of Conduct. So I think we need just to check that any deviation from that is in accordance with the National Code of Conduct, and perhaps we could ask the monitoring officer for advice on that.
Okay. I mean, I think that's where this has come from.
I think I like this one because it's more modernised. It has social media and things like that in it, which other ones I've seen haven't.
Yeah.
It's a lot more up to date.
I like the explanations. I like the explanations.
I like the depth of it.
Lola?
Chair, just Appendix B, point 6, just speaks about other registrable interests. For the members of the council who are on Pendle Council, that would mean that any item of business that the town council discusses that involves Pendle Council means that any member who's also a member of Pendle Borough Council would not be able to vote on those items at all.
Sorry, wait, okay.
Appendix B.
Other registrable interests?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chairman, on that point, the monitoring officer at Pendle Council had recently issued advice to councillors, and it was to the effect that other registral interests should be declared, but that they didn't constitute pecuniary interests, and that members did not have to withdraw from meetings. So there's a bit of a conflict there between the rules that the monitoring officer is saying apply and these things. Again, Chairman, I just think we should ask the monitoring officer what they think.
All right, I'm happy to ask Howard about that.
Sorry, Chair. As David says, it seems to include a great many things that are outside of the normal peculiar interest, and you end up with, in many cases, with half the meeting sitting back, because we all have some little connection here and there. I don't know how minimally we can include that, but it is an intrusion that doesn't seem to have any real ethical purpose.
Right. I will ask Howard Culshaw about it.
Chair? Well, does it or not? I don't know. It's a debate to be had, isn't it? Whether, you know, we're a town council, does the influence of Pendle Borough Council or above influence anything here that maybe it shouldn't? As a thought.
Jodie?
It's only for debate.
I do
Sorry,
think,
sorry.
I don't,
Angela, you just finishing off that?
Yeah, just it's a debate. I don't know the answer, I don't know what I feel about it, but I think it's worthy of a debate.
Okay.
I do think something in that part that's more structured so that lines don't get blurred between people's roles on Borough Council and people's roles on Barnoldswick Town Council, and sort of at certain times we have to remember, well, people have to remember what hat they're wearing.
Chairman, I never have any difficulty because I always act in the public interest, whether I sit somewhere as a county councillor, a borough councillor or a town councillor, and that means that there's never a conflict because you are acting in the public interest. But the implication of the paragraph that Lola highlighted is, for instance, that we've got the Byscapes working group and members are appointed to that, but there's the locus of the Equal Barley group, so you'd have to be declaring an interest as members of Equal Barley, and then you couldn't take part in the discussion. So it is very limited. So, for instance, I'm a member of Barnoldswick in Bloom, and if we're talking about a Barlick in Bloom issue, you'd have to declare the interest on the meeting. I think all I'm saying is take advice from Howard Cultural, because otherwise you could be agreeing something that unintended consequences.
Did you say that this actually came from Clerk?
No.
No.
Okay, for another council.
Another council. Right. I was just wondering what their view on that would be as well.
Fairly large town council.
Yeah.
Not being secretive, I can't remember which it was.
I'm just wondering then, you know, how they go about that problem or issue.
Yeah, I will follow up on this
Yeah.
more.
I mean, just in respect of that, I think you have to have some understanding that Barnoldswick Town Council's situation with, you know, membership crossing over Pendle Council is quite unique. Certainly not unique, but quite unique in the way that a lot of places just have, you know, political appointed, you know, members for the borough councils or unitary authorities that don't involve themselves in local town councils or parish councils. And I think it's
what we're debating, isn't it, really?
it's part of the difference of ethos that, you know, we've had locally of putting people up for both, which has mostly been Councillor David Whipp's prerogative, and I think came from probably Tony Greaves originally, the late Tony Greaves. But I mean, it's true for Colin as well, but it's, I mean, in a lot of places it's not true at all. AB, there's no overlap at all. Skipton, I know, there's no overlap there as far as I can remember.
Right. Are you happy for me to speak to Howard about that then, everybody? Yes. Just on the point we've just raised, which is that when councillors are issued documents, the feeling is that some of them have certainly signed something to say that they received it. What I'm proposing is a document register which lists the document, what its revision date is, and we've got 2 documents up for revision later on. And just get everybody to sign to say that they've received it.
Yeah.
It's particularly, you know, and this is following a lack of documentation from an HR point of view when we've been dealing with recent matters. You know, I don't think you've ever a staff handbook, for instance, have you done? Or I don't think you've even got a contract, have you? So these are you know, essential documents that should be in place, and it's not good enough to say that somebody's had something. We need evidence of it. We need it written down. So I am going to put that to a vote that we have a document register for councillors. All those in favour? Correct. It's just. In a similar vein, I think we should have a visitors book in the office, so we can see who's been in, why they've been in, when they came.
Move that.
Seconder? Okay. All those in favour? There is a potential GDPR issue we have in a visitors book these days, so you need to buy a book that gathers people's information without it being visible to the next person coming along signing the book. So I'll look into that. Council David, sorry.
You can do it electronically. You don't have to do it, you know. I mean, you go to school, you go to place to work, you just sign in electronically and nobody can see who else is signed in. Maybe that's easier and it doesn't tie your time up to get a book out and and the thing with those books is you can actually click that and see who's been paid for if you want to.
We can look at it as an option. Council payment of creditors. This is one of the greatest difficulties we've had with Joe leaving. It's taken a little bit of figuring out how we go about actually paying people. I still don't think I fully understand what the current procedure is. I'm hoping that somebody can enlighten me. So Sam, you've got to take it over payments, haven't you?
I haven't inputted any payments.
Into Sage, but you've...
No, I've not inputted any into the system at all.
Right. I've
got a collection of payments that need inputted.
So who are signatories of cheques at the moment? Sorry, I'm going to ask a question, are you? Put saying
No, I was going to say what the town council agreed previously, because we don't have cheques anymore.
No.
And I'm going to pick that up later on. With Unity Trust Bank, and it requires 3 different individuals to, one of them to administer the system, but they don't have any signatory rights, and then it requires 2 authorised members of the council to authorise payments, and currently we have Callum, myself and Lola who are authorised, but Callum's authorisation has yet to be confirmed with Unity Bank. So the difficulty is with the inputting, and I think at the meeting tonight we need to authorise Sam to be an inputter if she's willing to do so. And in terms of the reliance on one individual, I'm not sure how that fits with the financial requirements for it to be the clerk to authorise a payment. So what you don't want to do is create a situation where there could be collusion and all that sort of stuff.
David,
So I don't know how you work around that one.
okay. Is it wise that you and Lola are both signatories, given you from the same household?
I don't know. I mean, it's the town council agreed to that's what it decided wanted to do.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just thinking in future, is it wise?
We did ask that question and there's nothing against it.
Callum?
I do agree, I don't think there's anything against it, it's just slightly frowned upon. One of my other hats, we have signatories on the bank, and someone who's a signatory, and our treasurer, husband and wife, and the treasurer is purposely not a signature because they're in the same household.
Okay, we may consider that then.
Chairman, can I just make the point?
Sure.
It requires 3 different people to authorise something. So, you know, 2 people cannot authorise anything.
No.
It has to be 3.
No, not suggesting that.
Can I just ask, 2 people need to authorise it, but 1 needs to input it, doesn't it?
Yes.
So it's not 3 authorisations?
Was it?
Well,
It needs 2 authorising people, but 1 and plus 1 to input.
yes, so it's only 2 of 3 town councillors to authorise. It's a separate person
Separate one
to do the inputting,
Yeah.
but the authorised signatories cannot input.
Yeah.
So it requires...
Is it still electronically?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there are other aspects to this, like Joe paying for things on her own personal credit card and then getting reimbursed. I didn't like that.
Well, Chairman, I've done the same. And the other day I offered to Sam wanting to make a purchase for the event at the end of the month, and I said, well, if you need me to use my credit card, you know, fine. The difficulty with that, and I think the preferable thing is if all the payments went through Unity Trust Bank as a bank transfer, but it's not possible with some sources to pay that in that way. And I'm aware that if you got like a corporate credit card, I'm aware that a council nearby to us had a corporate credit card where the clerk of the council was authorised to spend money on the credit card and was subsequently dismissed because of irregularities.
Okay. Leon's done some research into this with current bank, our current bank. They won't issue a credit or a debit card. What they will issue is a charge card where you can sort it top it up and then you've got, you know, a limited amount of money to spend with it. And that might be worth something worth looking at. Georgie, you ready to run first?
That's what I'm going to say.
All right, Georgie.
Okay.
Laura?
Thanks, Chairman. We have previously agreed as a full council to draft and implement a procurement policy. Might suggest we have a look at how we make payments in that. I know ideally we would have a credit account with a business-to-business accounts to make the purchases of stuff for the town council, but that hasn't always been possible because of the way that the office is operated in buying from instead of business-to-business, buying direct consumer products.
Yeah.
That it doesn't work in a credit fashion. It just works in buy it from the storefront and then reimburse. It's a reimbursement system instead of a credit system, which they're both valid. But obviously, if we want to move away from someone using their personal bank account for those purchases and being reimbursed, we need to move into a business-to-business credit system. But that does require finding those companies to have a business account with.
Yeah.
So that is a work in itself, which is part of what a procurement policy would allow us to do.
It is a really diverse. The procurements themselves are really diverse, aren't they? Spread for everyone. You know, you're not going to find a supplier or even just a few suppliers who's going to cover everything. But yeah, I take your point. So, are we able to pursue a procurement policy then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chair, to be clear, I'm proposing that
Yeah.
Sam be appointed as input service. That's what it's called, administrator.
And we apply for this charge card.
Yeah. I thought so. The answer looking into that, so technically hopefully she'll get the next meeting. Yeah, we don't think that. You should be spending on your own personal account there and everything, isn't it?
Well, Chairman,
I know you're happy to do it, but
you'll recall many visits to Screwfix.
yeah.
Yes.
No, you are doing it, and you shouldn't have to.
David, sorry.
Yeah, of course you can.
As a authorised signature on the Unity Bank now, do you know if you can add me as an admin, for example?
No, I think that would be a separate communication to the bank. And I think the first hurdle is to ensure that we get talent added to the mandate.
Yeah. Is that all?
That's been sent off. So
That's gone.
it takes 10 to 14 days. So.
Great.
So 10 to 14 days.
Chair, the other part of the process, which I did mention, it used to be the case that when we had checks, that the paper invoices were countersigned by members of the council before checks were issued, and the system that Lola proposed when we moved on to online banking was that there's a WhatsApp group where all the payments, apart from direct debits and the like, there's an image put on the WhatsApp group, which then you can scrutinise what the payment is for before doing the authorisation.
Okay. Okay, after that, the internal audit, just to say it's not been done yet. I am in contact with, that's it. Yeah.
Chair, the internal audit wouldn't be done until the conclusion of the financial year.
No,
So
there is some preparation work to do.
It wouldn't start until April.
Yeah.
I think we have appointed Whittle and Bowker as the internal auditors.
Well, he seems to think so.
Yeah, but there needs to be a resolution of the council, and I couldn't remember whether we've appointed Whittle and Bowker as internal auditors.
Not sure. We could do it now anyway.
It's not there, but I do feel that
Not there saying you can't appoint them twice.
I do feel that.
Well, could I propose then that we do appoint Whittle and Bowker as a belt and braces in case that hasn't been done? But I think it
I'll
has.
second that, Chair.
Callum second. All those in favour? Great, thank you. Right, we're back to the contract with Sings. I've got the document here. So, David, you're saying that
Chairman, you'll recall at the previous full council meeting, it was agreed that the town council paid for building work to repair the garage back at Sings, which we have used as a store since 2017 or something like that. 2019, I think it is.
yeah.
And the back rent be applied to pay for its reconstruction, and the Clerk and Suki had agreed terms which were approved by the Town Council.
Yeah.
And earlier in the meeting we paid the bills in lieu of rent for the work on the building. I mentioned two items earlier on, the waterproof rendering and the garage doors which need treating. On conclusion of the building work, I went to see Suki and I said, well, it really needs waterproof rendering, the garage doors finishing off. And Suki said, well, as far as she was concerned, that would be up to the Town Council if they wanted to have that done at the Town Council's expense, and that it wasn't included in the schedule that George got and we'd agreed to pay. So that work would be over and above the payments that we approved earlier in the meeting. And my suggestion would be that we do seek quotations for that work, and that whatever it comes out as a cost, that we offset it against the lease on the store with Civic, so that we're not paying any more than what we would otherwise have paid. Apart from that, Mr. Chairman, I would be content to propose that we sign the lease.
The work completed before we sign it, we're going to be offsetting the money against that. Will that not be revised?
Will it not go to Suki?
Chairman, I think Suki takes a view that it's up to the Town Council. If the Town Council wants to get the work done, it's fine. I would say that we agree to sign the lease subject to, as Connie suggested, subject to this work being done, and we deduct the cost of that work from future payments.
You won't pay a lot to fix your garage, you know, waterproof, would you? It's a bit of a sound.
So this lease has got a commencement date yet to be put on. So, do we hold back on, not necessarily signing the lease, but on the commencement of the lease until that work's done?
Chairman, my proposal is that we make signing the lease subject to getting the work done and deducting the cost of that work from any future payments.
Agree.
Right, so we're not signing the lease yet.
But we're authorising the lease to be signed.
If they do work, it can be signed.
Whenever.
Yeah. And I'll just back to you, sir.
I'll second that proposal, Chair.
All those in favour then? Thank you. It was rejected. Grant applications, we have two. 16A and 16B. 16A is the application from Barnoldswick. I think it's been suggested that with this one, it may be that we pay in kind, or make a grant in kind through room rental rather than a financial amount. Angela?
Yeah, I think previously we said we don't pay rent to people, but I think this is, like you say, kind to get a really good initiative launched and started, in fact just gives them the funds to get it going. I would support that.
You propose that?
I'll second that.
All those in favour? Contact our manager. Karen. 16B, Barnoldswick Town Football Club. I'm sure there's a pudding. How much is a pudding of this? Oh, you got it all. David?
Thank you, Chairman. There's two items on the agenda that relate to Barnoldswick Town Football Club.
Yeah.
So this is a grant application for £1,000 towards work improving the ground, and then later on, I can't see because I've not quite got the right glasses on.
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
on the 20 base.
Yeah, so I'm aware of the artificial turf because there was a communication came to Pendle Council which I passed on to Clerk here.
Yeah.
But it just seems that there's different things happening, and I wonder whether the best way forward would be to seek a meeting with the club and just find out what the plans are and whether they're doing abortive work in terms of improving the ground as the grant application says. And then they're going to do an artificial pitch, but I think we just don't know. So my suggestion is that we agree in principle to the grant of £1,000 to Barnoldswick Town Football Club, subject to meeting with them to fully understand their proposals vis-à-vis artificial pitch. We're agreeing the grant, but saying let's find out what the artificial pitch thing is and take it forward from there.
Sorry, can I just add to that then? It's not clear actually what we're going to do here, is it? No, so I think it'd be good to have clarity around that. And I'm going to sound like a real wet lecturer, and I'm not trying to sound like it's fun, but I think if artificial turf is their proposal, I think we should all be aware of the potential impact on the environment of that.
We'll pick that up in a second, Angela.
Okay.
Because it is on the
I think that
agenda.
we're doing them together then from what Dick just said, but yeah, we'll leave it till next time.
No, I'll get lost if I'm in with that.
Okay.
So, Chairman, insofar as the grant application might
It has come up.
Increasing it or leaving it?
I'm just going to ask for a show of hands for people who think it should be increased. Obviously, but no, not that those three, we don't need to discuss the figure.
Well, my proposal is make it £10,000, because after that you need three signatures anyway. That's happy.
You need 3 signatures for 3 and 2%. Sorry.
Can I have a quick show of hands, please, for whether we think that should be read?
Yeah, I propose that we approve this subject to reviewing the figure in 3.3 and deciding at the next full council.
Reasonable compromise.
Yeah. Seconded.
Okay, all those in favour? Can we move on to standing orders, please?
Chairman, on standing orders,
Yes, David.
I think in line with the current arrangements, paragraph 47B, which is about expenditure, coming back to it again, the town clerk or other authorised officer be authorised to issue bank transfers instead of cheques for payment of approved items expenditure, subject to requirements of Standing Order 64. So, Chairman, it's doing 2 things. First of all, it's allowing...
When we say bank payments, when you say bank transfers, that's to that.
The town clerk or other authorised officer be authorised to issue bank transfers for payment of approved items of expenditure.
I don't think it should be bank transfers. Because if we're going to get a charge card, that is not a bank transfer, it's a different method.
Okay.
So the payments, or you can say electronic payments, no, just
Yeah, whatever fits the bill, but it don't want to be checked.
no. We'll say bill.
Chair,
Oh,
well, I'm afraid it can't be payments because that would include cash. And petty cash operates on different lines.
Electronic payments.
yeah.
The charge card is also petty cash. That's how that works.
It's,
Still an electronic payment.
Yeah. But it operates in the same way as petty cash does in the office.
But by buying the charge card with a limited amount of money, are you sort of authorising the town clerk or other authorised officers to make that payment anyway, aren't you?
No. So petty cash works differently from payments made by the clerk in respect to creditors. And I'm fairly sure there should be a separate item on petty cash in terms of that. But the charge card would operate in the same way as petty cash does, in that there's only ever a limited amount which is capped.
Yeah.
And those payments then need to be properly accounted for after the fact, and it's an internal transfer to approve those separately. So they're still approved in electronically in the app by a transfer, but it will be an internal transfer to match the amount made from the petty cash bit. Does that clarify it? So, I mean, what Councillor Dayworth said in the first instance was correct.
Bank transfers.
Whether we need an additional thing on petty cash, I don't know. There should already be something somewhere.
In the financial regs. Right, I'll put it in as bank transfers for now. I think this will be revisited when we get in the
Chairman,
Yeah.
the other one that we need to revise
Yes.
is paragraph 64. This refers to the Code of Conduct adopted by the Council on 26th of May 2004. And we need to update it accordingly. The other observation I've got on that section is that the government enacting legislation to introduce a new standards framework, and it may well be that anything that we've got at the moment might be superseded, but we don't need to be concerned about that until that time.
I think I would say that's early next year.
Yeah, so 64A, we just need to revise that bit. Otherwise, I move.
Yeah, okay, I think we've got no code of conduct. No, I'll look at it one day, yeah.
In the chair, I think there's something similar on 39 about the code of conduct again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just been found in place in 2004.
Yeah. So subject to the
o'clock for the police to
The chairman has discussion at 10 for 15 minutes.
I've just seen our guests that were wondering if they were going to get out alive tonight.
We could have, under the standing orders, we could have without notice moved box closer to the beginning.
We can swap it with Friday first.
What's that? So what?
Let's just proceed.
Future events.
I'm happy to swap 23 and 24 around. We should get through this next one fairly quickly.
That might help.
Culture.
Might help.
Let's just
Town and Culture bid.
Yay!
Do I accept an update on the progress of this application?
Did Steve send an update to you?
I don't know.
Should we give an update?
Yeah.
So, just as he's aware, we agreed in our last meeting that we would put an expression of interest for town culture award for 2028. It's a really exciting opportunity. David, Jill, myself and Steve Shostak have been working on it since obviously jetting off to New Zealand. But we are working to do a document for the application which needs to be for the end of March. Just to remind people, this is about an opportunity to have a whole year of celebration right across the town, talking about the unique story of Barnoldswick, on history, but also thinking about what's unique about us and where we might go in the future. So almost a timeline linking what's happened in the past that's made us really strong with what will make us strong in the future. And it's about culture for everyone. So we have reached out, Sam's kindly sent a note out to every group we could think of in the area, and you've had quite a few responses back, which is great. So we're feeding those in, we're picking up with people as we see them. We've got interviews with the school, any groups basically. But I mean, there's a fantastic entrepreneurial spirit around Barnoldswick, whether it's in the shops and the cafes and the bars, or whether it's in the industry that's kept the economic activity alive in the town. So everything from Rolls Royce to Salad Night to SA to whole, fill trucks, it'll all be in there. So it'll be a really brilliant document. Even if we don't win 3 million, I think the process we're going through that we'll share across the town will be brilliant to kind of re-energise the town and get everybody involved. So we need to get through this expression of interest. If we get through that stage, basically there'll be £60,000 to actually develop the bid, and that's when the real work and the activities, the culture bit will kind of really feed in. And there'll be lots of things about activities on the town square, across the whole town, linking everything really from young to old. So it's a really exciting thing to be working on.
Chairman, can I echo that and express thanks to Jill and Steve and Angela who've got a lot of work in on this. My contribution has been minimal. However, I think that our unique selling point in terms of this culture bit comes from an unusual angle, as it would, and that is that back in 1928, Frank Whittle, as a young aircraftsman, wrote a thesis on a new means of propulsion, and that was the jet engine. So 2028 is the centenary of Frank Whittle's 1928 jet engine thesis. The jet engine was developed here in Barley during the Second World War, and I think that it's just made for a centenary celebration, an exhibition of jet engines, perhaps a jet engine museum, a permanent jet engine museum in the future, the Festival of Flight thing, balloons over Barley, flight festival, the themes that you can work into that flight concept are absolutely fantastic. And the other aspect of this is that Barnoldswick is a town where you can make it in Barnoldswick, and it's all to do with the craft, the skills, the hands-on activities, that creativity. And I think that this feeds into the narrative which says, you know, Barnoldswick is the place where you can make it. And there's all these wonderful, exciting, vibrant, creative activities that you can take part in, whether it's music, art, sculpture, everything. And I think that gives us that USP, which otherwise will just get lost amongst hundreds of other councils that are putting bids in. I think it's a really strong, absolutely unique. Nobody else can make the claim to have created the jet engine.
Well, it's like launching us into the jet era, but then it's also what's the next 100 years going to be. It's thinking all about the young kids coming through and how do you engage them and how do they have a sense of purpose and how can they make it Barnoldswick. That's kind of part of the proposition around it.
John?
So we've got the history of, we've got the steam mill and back off mill with its own propulsion, all can be all used to move forward with the Rolls Royce and everything like that. And then we've got, like David said, we've got a wealth of artists in our area. We've got a wealth of musicians. We've got all sorts of different arts that we can bring into something and make possibly an event or a showcase out of.
Yeah. I mean, we've covered everything from even an archaeological dig to find the old Cistercian monastery that the townspeople sort of shooed away 1,000 years ago. So yeah, there's all of that has been kind of like put into the pot. It's just getting it down to the number of words for the bid. But yeah, there's so much, and even if we don't win, there's so much we could draw on going forward as a town for events and celebration and pride.
Smashing. Can we put it on record then to thank Angela, Steve and Gillian? That's excellent progress. It sounds promising.
Well, we'll be sharing it before we actually submit it. But
Yeah.
we know if we put your Steve and get one of those.
That's great, thank you. Right, I've just grouped a lot of these things now together under correspondence. So Chris, you might want to tell us about this one. This is the Scouts.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. The Scouts have asked if they can help out with any future environmental project we may be working on, reflecting on the fact that they were extremely helpful in the planting of the microforest, which I believe they do refer to here. And I am entirely in favour of us supporting them in anything they want to do in the future.
Thank you, Chris.
Second that.
Yeah, can we all be mindful of that and think of projects?
Yeah, so we have a Barlett Specs meeting next Monday. You know, we've got things like hedge planting and tree nurseries and all sorts of things on it, so it'd be brilliant to get scouts, brownies, whoever, youth groups involved in those.
Yeah.
I think they'd be open to other things as well, thinking of the culture bit, Chris. Be the sort of driver of the sort of...
So they have had an email.
Target. They've had an email,
Yeah.
right, okay.
On that basis, should we invite them to join us at the meeting, and or even on a permanent basis to come?
Would have somebody maybe they'd select maybe to come, or a couple of them?
I will do that.
Okay, that's duly noted. Barnoldswick Town Football Club. This is the artificial pitch proposal. I've only put the front sheet into your pack because it is quite a hefty document.
John, could I just propose that we seek a meeting with the football club in order to discuss their plans?
Yeah.
Can I just raise on and circulate it if you want? But
Yeah.
the 3 documents I have here, saying I'm not trying to be a wet lettuce, I just think we need to think about the impact. So DEFRA published a report a few months ago concerned about the fact that artificial sports pitches are the main source of intentionally adding microplastic pollution in the UK. We're putting about 17,000 tonnes of emissions from those into the waterways and environment. If anybody goes to any existing pitches, I go to see my grandson at Sandylands and the stuff's just crumbling and disappearing down the drains. So there's a concern there. I know there's 4G pitches coming out. I don't know if they're yet approved or regulated by FIFA. There are quite, in Europe, I mean you'll know a lot about this as well, Lola, they're a bit more ahead in how they regulate around this to keep microplastics, reduce the impact. But there's been a project trying to at least keep the microplastics in the pitch. So that would need, if this was agreed to go ahead, there would need to be part of the design. But that project's on hold because there's new legislation in the offing, so that's going to come through at some point. And what we don't want to do is approve something and then find out legislation means that we're out of date. And lastly, the teachers' union have jumped in because it's not just environmental health, it's actually human health concerns. So particularly sports teachers that are out on the pitches longer times than maybe the kids are, they are exposed to the dust more that comes off the rubber crumb and everything. They're inhaling it, they're ingesting it, it's going on their skin. So the teachers' union are actually campaigning to get it banned. So I just to put those on the table for consideration, that's all.
Sorry, Laura.
And just in sort of addition to that, the substrate that they use for these 3D and 4D pictures, they have been banned in Europe, in the European Union.
All right.
It's just UK law has not caught up with those. Wales in particular, through the Welsh Assembly, have caught up and they have tighter restrictions that the UK government for England doesn't have yet. I just question, do we as landowners have to approve this? Can we reject them doing this? Otherwise, because, I mean, as the, leaseholders,
Yeah.
I'd have thought all they would have to do is apply for a planning application with Pendle Council as the planning authority.
Yeah, I'm going to ask that question. Who would be responsible for that?
As far as I know, it does require a planning permission, which would be to the planning authority, and I don't know whether we as landlords have any say in what they do there. Something we should look into in our tenancy agreement, leaseholder agreement, whatever they call it.
Which is sad is what we did with allotment tenancy agreement. We've updated to ban these plastic grass.
But it may be that we actually have no onus on this, and it is entirely up to the planning authority, which those materials aren't a planning consideration. It would be down to regulations which the UK government haven't acted on. So, yeah. In terms of, we'd just like to know this kind of planning commission. I'd suggest that we just reply back to that specifically with the need to have pre-app advice for Pendle Council's planning department, and otherwise agree to sit the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Next
So
item.
just add to that as well, because this stuff doesn't last forever. It's got life on it, 10 years or something. So if for whatever reason they pull out, I mean, we pick up the bill, wouldn't we, to replace it, and you can't recycle it. So I think they're all things that this is a major change of land use that needs real consideration.
Yeah.
That's all. Awesome.
So we need to establish whether we have got any control over that before we can decide what to do about it. Sorry, I'm pushing on. Next item, bin report. I was handed this by Joe, who said there's no budget for it, but you've indicated, David, earlier that there actually is budget for bins.
Oh, bins.
Yeah.
Yes, Chairman. I can't just say when it was. I think it was actually not last financial year, it was probably the financial year before that. West Craven Area Committee granted £10,000 to Barnoldswick Town Council in part to renew the bins at play areas and in the parks.
Right.
And you recall from earlier in the meeting that I mentioned that being rolled into the £26,500 the Town Council is committed to put into the Pride in Place Impact Fund programme, and the proposal that Councillor Church has got later in the meeting, you will see that there's a clause in that which I think refers to bins. Yes, it's resolution number 2, including the replacement of provision of new litter bins as required.
Right, I'll put that on later then. Moving on. I mean, I presume it's been because current. There are some boxes very full, so there are some which you need in to work. Moving on. Jenny and Andy Arnold request to use the square. Where are we? Request to use the square in general, Sam?
I think if it's our events, we've got forms to fill in for Pendle.
Right.
And we submit the relevant documents to them. And then that's an event, a full event, a full-scale event, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think Jenny or the churches are hoping to put a cross on the square.
Yeah.
During Easter, or a tableau, during the Easter weekend. But as it's come to light, we're not able to grant that permission. So I've sent that to Pendle
Council.
and I'm still waiting for them to come back.
Okay, so are we on?
Chair, I mean, we are the de facto administrator of anyone wanting to occupy the square. And it's normal that we do, approve a calendar, basically. And in fact, it is Pendle Council's intention to transfer the square to us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I move that we do grant this and continue the mode of operation that we've had.
Second.
So you're saying we don't need permission from Pendle Council?
No.
David, can you
Well, Chairman, this has arisen because of the furore that we've had in recent months.
Okay.
Somebody at Pendle Council has said, well, hang on, what's your permission to use the square? What's permission for the Town Council to use the square? I suggested to Sam that she just checks the position out. I mean, the custom and practice for the last 30 odd years has been the Town Council manage the diary for activities on the square to ensure that there aren't any conflicts.
Yeah.
But if there's ever been anything that required, there was a bus came once for some, I can't remember what they were promoting, and they referred to Pendle Council to sort it out. And the recent request was for a motorhome, so that wouldn't need to go to Pendle Council. Putting a cross up on the town square, I suggest Pendle Council would consider that that's part and parcel of the general implied licence that the town council has for the use of the square, and that we would be able to say, yeah, that's fine. At the very least, we can say no other activities are planned on the town square during that period. But, you know, ask Pendle Council, you know, if you want to do belt and braces.
I don't think that's a bother. Anybody else?
I have already sent them to
These ones.
the one with the camper van, anything that was in the diary prior
Oh,
to.
I can't find one, yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. You've not done this one.
Can't remember, there was a list.
So you want to move that we accept this one?
Yeah.
Have to
Yeah.
All those in favour? Amber Wheeler, request for a trading pitch. Can somebody enlighten me as to what control we have or don't have? Or does somebody having a trading pitch, in particular, how it works with the fisherman? Oh,
I can indeed, Chair. So the town council holds is the market licence holder for the town, and we have the sole discretion to offer traders a pitch at our market. Now that's done for the fishman, as that's his pitch. He has the schedule, and he operates there under our market licence.
right.
So he does not have a separate market licence, he's there under our market licence of the town square, and as such he pays ground rent to the market licence holder, the town council. So, I mean, if we want to do that for someone else, we absolutely can do. Otherwise they would have to apply for planning permission, potentially if it's a permanent spot.
The application,
Basically, by going through us and paying rent to us, they don't need to apply for a separate street trading licence.
right.
Yeah, where does it want to go? You mentioned the fishman, but I can't see anywhere in here why she said.
There's some more detail here, I think, Alan. She's talking Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays only.
Where's the fishman?
Thursday.
Thursday.
So she specifically asked me where the
But
fishman is.
she's saying from 4:30 till 8:30.
What for? Is it not for football or something like that?
No,
No, that's a different one. That's a different one. David?
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Ulowitz, quite correct in the Barnoldswick Town Council got the permission from Pendle Council to operate the market when we took it over from Keith. The fish van is the sole surviving operator
Yeah.
from that market, and because it comes under the Barnoldswick market, it doesn't need a street trading licence. I think the difference between the fish van and a lot of other things is that we don't have a shop that sells fish.
Yeah.
Well, fish and chip shop obviously, but not wet fish. Yeah, so we haven't got a fishmonger, and this seems to be a business that would interact, cut across quite a lot of other existing businesses in the town centre,
Yeah.
and you know, perhaps undermine the viability of the bricks and mortar offering.
So about having that, yeah.
Yeah, so my suggestion would be, well, thank you very much for your inquiry. We suggest that you apply to Pendle Council for a street trading licence and let them consider it.
Right. All those in favour with that?
Chair.
Councillor
before we go to any vote on that, I mean, I haven't seen what menu they're offering.
Yeah, I've got that here.
Forward.
I can give a bit more detail if you like. I've met the lady.
Okay, so, go for it.
I think it's meals prep, so it's like
Somebody pass that to Laura, please.
it's meals that you would then take home. So it's not to be consumed then and then. It's like healthy meals to be consumed at home.
At that time.
That's funny sound, yeah.
I think she's going to do it hot so that people can take it home with their evening meal. I think that's
Can I
going to
just say something? Sorry, I've got
Okay.
on the side. I'm one of the... Go there. We should... Why don't you let her have a go? Let this girl have a go. She's going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're all about entrepreneurialism in the town.
Businesses that already do food in an evening.
Yeah,
Why is
I can't bring it in out,
We
right?
keep it to Pendle, but how does that help? Because it just means that we're...
You're hungry in the gas.
Yeah,
Well, Chairman, Pendle Council would look at the application and determine the application based on the factors that are of concern. I mean, I think this person, this business, could come along and operate at one of the town council events as part of the market that we have at the town council event. Do they already do so?
I think she's wanting it to be a more permanent,
Yeah.
established business so that it's a regular. She's got regular evenings and regular times where
Yeah.
people can come in.
So my proposal stands.
And it's a new business, I believe, as well.
My proposal stands, referring to Pendle Council if they want to go down the street trading route.
Laura?
Chair, I mean, I disagree here. I think it is a different offering to what's there. It's in an evening, which most shops close, sort of 4 or 5 p.m. I mean, it sort of goes. It's sort of, for those who haven't seen this, it's sort of a pub menu, and I mean, I'm struggling. What pubs still serve food?
Three of the idea.
One of these advocating behind it to give them a chance. The only reason I can see why the town council wouldn't offer this pitch is if we don't want those traders complaining that we're cutting them with more competition, which we sort of offloading that responsibility to Pendle Council by saying no, you have to get a street trading licence. So I think this requires a bit more consideration than that.
I do agree. I think we need to know more about what she's offering, and you seem to have more details than we've got.
Yeah.
Competition is like it's healthy.
Never consulted, sorry.
Well, could I suggest we consult with the business owners of, this operations that this would compete with before we come to a decision?
Chris?
On that basis, I have just consulted with one such, who seems entirely in favour of giving them a go.
Absolutely.
Come here.
Yeah, and don't put them down the pendle and make them jump through more hoops. This is a new startup, should be encouraging and helping them in any way you can.
Come in, follow street racing, it's a nightmare. Let her have a go.
Can I add as well, she did want to be here tonight, but she was planning on coming, but she emailed today to say that her family had organised a surprise party for her and she didn't know anything about it until today. It's a birthday. It's a birthday, so yeah.
She didn't have to get it for it.
Yeah.
Laura, you want to come up with an amendment?
Well, Chairman, I'm just going to say, I don't know where they want to trade from.
Well, the pitch, the fisherman's also been mentioned, so.
I think ideally they probably want it on the town square because there's already a fish
Do you want to lock the inner door?
there.
Stop the wildlife?
Well, Chairman, we go back to the question about it's Pendle Council's responsibility on the town square. The market is, it was a 2-day-a-week thing, of which the fishmonger operates on one of the 2 days that we used to have, and is over on the car park because it was displaced from the square when the work was done. So it's been beneficial for him to remain there. Both the car park and the town square, the Pendle Council, so it would go back to their consent, which is why I'm suggesting that they apply for a street trading licence, and Pendle Council's considered it against the criteria that they've got. I think the difficulty is it doesn't fit into the market that we have currently got on a single day of the week.
Is there a way we could, as a town council, say we would be happy for them to do that, and we'll be happy for them to do that, to support it?
Yeah, because like I say, it's a new start, so if the fishmonger's spot has been mentioned and she wants to use Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at those times, it doesn't affect his plot he already uses. More than likely for what she's offering, if it's just take away, take home, do your food, it's not going to affect any of the local businesses. You're helping us out, so after all she might do it for 6 months and decide it's not for her, or it could be a great success for her and could be helping someone get into real business here. I'd be inclined to go with what Councillor Lowell said and give them a shot, permitting that they go to Pendle Council to ask to use the land, obviously, as we're not a designated landlords.
Solid.
Chair, as the licence holder for the market operations, we have discretion to use that land for the operation of the market.
Is that just on those?
We'd have to check that licence agreement. But however, I do think that providing these additional things of the evening can generate Barnoldswick as a place to go for your tea in the evenings instead of buying food from some super conglomerate American-owned company or anything like that. And it's bringing local trade in. And I think that can only serve to improve people's perceptions of the square as a venue and as a place to do the sort of daily business. And I think it only really benefit everyone if that's the perception people have in their minds. So I think we should be fully supportive, even if they are multiplying businesses that already exist. If it's improving that offering and improving it as a destination for people to look into the usual routines, which the internet has moved people away from in the past sort of 20 years. I mean, it's a different way of operating. And I think we should give them the chance, but I mean, obviously, let's look at the market operator stuff that we've got, check if we can. And if we can, I think we should be.
So, do you want to propose an amendment then?
Let's sum up with that.
Yeah, I second.
All those in favour? Right, we'll do that then.
You can make it lovely, David.
You can. Procedurally, I don't think we can actually agree to it.
Yeah, I can tell them.
Got about hairdressers and charity shops, what's another food outlet?
Oh, like you
Healthy
said,
food.
you should put something.
Could be there, Richard Branson.
Right, next one's Marie Brewster, sorry. David.
Thank you, Chairman. West Craven Warriors run a cafe in the function room in the pavilion on Victory Park, and I was talking to their treasurer on Saturday, and they said, well, the only income that we've got is from that cafe, and as I understand it, and if I've got this wrong, I'll stand corrected. we would propose Thursday to Sunday trading to capture mainly the weekend activities in the park. And I wonder if the car park by the toilets would be a good location. That's slap bang next to West Raven Warriors Cafe, their only source of income. And I don't think that it would be sensible to undermine a sports club by having an alternative vendor slap bang outside their door.
Sorry, David, did you say when that cafe was? I missed that, sorry.
So,
West Raven Warriors.
West Raven Warriors, I mean, they've got a bit of a funny pattern with their opening, but certainly on Saturday they had a full day's set of games, youth team in the morning, girls team following that. So, it obviously wouldn't be on Thursday, but it would undermine their income.
And also on a Sunday, the town juniors play down the park, and we have the house open as well for refreshments. There's games all over the top green, the actual pitch, and beside the playground.
Right. So,
It's just like a proper coffee then, like a brisk coffee.
Yeah.
And she just wants to go anywhere in the town at the weekends.
well, she's talking cricket.
I'll
then,
help
isn't
her.
she?
I'd love to find a decent coffee at the weekends.
Hey, stop causing trouble here. Public right.
There's clearly not many coffee in there.
To be fair, looking across the street, I don't want to call for a coffee. Unless it's Irish.
I want to take his phone.
Right, what we're saying on this then, somebody want to propose that we reject,
Chairman, earlier in the email thread, they were saying can they come to our events, and I don't know whether Sam's progressed that, but I don't think that going down the park and cutting across the sports clubs that depend on the income would be a good idea. So I would say that we say thank you, but no thanks.
The hour I mentioned the cricket club, there's nothing to stop them opening the gates of the cricket club, rolling the van in, and close the gates. They're at the cricket club when the cricket's on. You just at the, if you get hit by a cricket ball, it's your own fault.
Yeah, okay. Can I have a seconder to that?
Sorry, what's proposed?
I'm proposing that we say no.
Being in the park.
To that location or to
Yeah.
doing anything in it?
Just that location.
Just that location.
Jordan, did you second?
Yeah.
All those in favour of that action? Thank you. Now, these next two, I'm sorry, that's as much information as I've got. It's just a written note from Jordan. So, Adrian Lord, whoever Adrian Lord is, would like to bring a fairground aimed at 2 to 12-year-olds, which will be a wristband offering on the 9th and 10th of May.
Bring it where?
Victor Park, Swindon.
Sorry.
You
Victory Park.
know it's Victory
Yeah,
Park.
they're both Victory Park.
Yeah, it is. And Michael Wellington are also looking at bringing the Funfair first week of June, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Chairman?
David?
Yeah, so the Funfairs, well, we know Marshall Wardens because they've been previously.
Yeah.
From memory, I think we charge £500 per operating day for them to use the park, and that we allow them to set up prior to, subject to not interfering with everything else. And we don't charge for the days in advance of operating.
Right.
The issue with Victory Park is games.
It's not my end, it seems.
So I think 9th and 10th of May is still in the season.
I have sent that to Keith and another lady at Pendle and asked them, and they said that it would be finished by then.
Okay, well that's not
I
an
can
issue then.
recheck it, but that's what I was told, that
Well,
it is available.
Following the completion of games, Pendle do some restoration work on the pitches, so they seed the goal mouths and things like that. I mean, I just wonder whether the May date is too soon.
My juniors are down to play at the park on the 10th of May.
It's in the bottom training pitch.
Bottom
Yeah.
where the fair usually goes, we're down to play on May.
Yeah.
Have they put that in
No,
recently?
they do it.
Oh,
Just a question, do Adrian and Marshall know about each other?
About what, sorry?
Do they know about each other?
Because
Because, I mean, the Travel Show People's Guilds usually have a rule around pitching and venues.
Chairman, that's Showman's Guild business, not Barnoldswick Town
I
Council.
just sort of want there to be sort of like,
okay, well, the form is clashing with football stroke
Yeah.
preparation season. The latter we don't have a problem with. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody propose that please.
Yeah.
First one, accept the second one. Jodie, seconder. All those in favour? You're on that.
So I don't know who said in favour, but
Sorry.
It was the majority.
It was a reverse, that's all. Teen half event. Did you mention this earlier?
I declared an interest, other registral interest as a member of the County Council.
Alright, okay.
This seems like one of those bigger events that we say we need to push up to Pendle. Yes. Sumo wrestling, boxing, sparring, it just sounds like injuries waiting to happen. I'd say push forward the chair to Pendle.
I've already sent it on to Pendle.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Chairman, as far as we're concerned, we welcome this.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Paul?
just question mark on plugging into the electrics. They would have to use Barnoldswick Town Council electric equipment.
That is true.
Okay. So we need to approve that.
Yeah, so
We,
could I...
we would need to have details of all appliances that are plugging in and appliances.
Yes.
This is a County Council, Lola.
They will.
They are on the ball.
David, are you going to make a proposal on it?
Yeah, I'm proposing that we do permit, subject to necessary checks on the equipment being used.
Seconder? All those in favour? Lastly, Christmas tree lights contract.
Chairman, on this one, we will need to suspend the relevant standing order financial regulation, which was just looking to see whether I could find it. But essentially what Light are offering is the same as we have had for the last couple of years, and holding the prices at the 2021 level. I think in view of the value for money that represents, that we suspend the standing order financial regulation requiring us to go out to tender for anything over £10,000. I think that the sufficient evidence of the quality of what they've provided to justify that suspension of the relevant standing order.
Oh,
Thanks, Chair. I'd agree that Live do provide sufficient quality and decent costs, and seconds the suspended and sent out.
okay, all those in favour?
Chairman, the relevant provision is in the financial regulations, it's paragraph 10.2.
Crack on with that. Council email addresses. Callum, would you like to?
Has anybody got, have you got a copy of my blurb that I sent, or am I going to have to find it? It's on the big thing I've put it with.
I'm not saying it right.
Right. Let me find it. Right, so the thing is to consider the proposal that with effect from the 1st of April 2026, all council business conducted via email must be undertaken using an official @barnoldswicktown.council.gov.uk email address only. This is to strengthen our governance, data security and ensure compliance with statutory obligations, including data protection legislation, and promote transparency and professionalism in council communications. It also safeguards us as councillors from freedom of information requests, subject access requests, and our information security. So I'm proposing that, because everyone has now been set up with one and they've had all the details provided, that from the 1st of April 2026, all correspondence coming in and out from councillors and to councillors will be from an official email address, and that will update our website with all those email addresses.
Okay. No second, you've got a question.
Yeah, just a quick question. Sorry if I've missed it, Callum, but did you send
Everybody's,
mail round?
I'll remind you of the dates and time when we finish here.
David?
Chairman, when this was discussed previously,
Yeah.
we were advised that the .gov email addresses that certain of us have due to double-heartedness would fulfil the security requirements for the privacy, etc. Are we being advised that that has now changed?
The fact that anything's changed is, you might be double-hatted, but when you send an email out, it should be clear whether you're communicating as a Pendle councillor, as Barnoldswick Town councillor, or in council with David Whip's point, a Lancashire County councillor. I know it might be a bit hard work for you toppling 3 different email addresses, but it's clear and precise who you're communicating on behalf of if you send an email.
Chairman, I mean, I'm not sure that any councillors have authority to act on behalf of the council without, there being a resolution saying as such. So I can't see that that's an issue.
In that case, then take all the email addresses off the website. We're not permitted to do anything like that while your own addresses up there. Futile. Just leave his names up there.
Right.
Chairman, if people want to contact us, they contact us. I understood that the requirement was because we've got the .gov.uk address, but what we were told previously was that, I'm repeating myself, that the Pendle Council.gov.uk addresses met the requirements for security, etc. And it saved money.
Is it a security, Colin, is it a security issue? Is it just about being...
About being clear and concise about where we're communicating from.
Yeah.
Because at the minute, I might be Outlook, Hotmail, it's just like, it's unprofessional. It's just,
Sorry, Chair, I get it for us that have got random email addresses to actually align with that.
Yeah.
But I am kind of like thinking though, if people have got other council addresses, I don't know, is it we
it's
just
not
making it
confuse
too
people going
complicated?
down the website at Barnoldswick Town, oh, this one says Pendle, oh, this one says Lancashire.
What are the other addresses you?
Yeah. I think for the sake of neatness, it would give us uniformity. For the reason that Callum says there, if people look down, you know, why is this bloke this and that and the other?
I think it gives us a strong identity
Yeah.
to have the same, you know, from the council.
I think it also, people do get very blurred lines as to what people's responsibilities are as well. So if somebody wants to contact David, Lola or Chris about anything to do with Pendle, that's fine. But it compartmentalises people's responsibilities as well.
I agree with that.
I think in support of David's point, I do not imagine anybody getting too upset if one of the Pendle people just uses their Pendle address for outgoing material or whatever. But we should have a consistent first point of contact for incoming material. I think just for the sake of neatness, as well as covering the law.
Chairman, I think the import of what Callum is proposing is that unless you have a Barnoldswick.gov email address, there won't be any emails from the office that you will see.
Well, I don't think it's saying that.
It is.
Everything needs to go in that domain. All correspondence between us, the office, members of the public, any other whatever word should come.
For reasons of neatness.
Neatness, data security. So, the proposal's there on the table, just need a second.
Okay, does anybody want to second that?
Chairman,
Lola?
I think we can't get confused. We're not professionals on this council, we're councillors. That distinction is quite different. I mean, we're representatives of our constituents. That does not mean we need a professional email address.
I won't call it professional.
I'd rather not use my own personal email address.
Well, that's fine. I think the town council should be able to provide those aliases. But likewise, I mean, the town council is perfectly capable of setting them up as email forwarding addresses. And we don't need to have separate accounts. I think I don't know, is it legislation that's telling us that we need to have everything involved in the same email system? I don't think there is. There's nothing in our standing orders, code of conduct, that says all communication needs to be through that. The town council doesn't provide phones, which, you know, we have communications from our constituents by the phone as well. The phone numbers are on the website. That includes messages. I mean, people contact us through Facebook. Should we have a town council Facebook account? I mean, it's just another form of communication, and email is no different than anything else.
situation be that everything sort of comes through the office?
Well, no, because we're not representing, we as elected representatives on Barnoldswick Town Council represent residents. And residents have absolutely no onus to go through the office at all if they so wish.
They can go in.
They can go direct to us. I mean, we can leave people on the doorstep, leave our email address, and you know, that's an entirely separate.
It's having that email address, that's all we need. The Barnoldswick email address.
And look,
I mean, there's no point in...
We can have a catch-all email to all councillors that then directs it to all of our individual email addresses. That's doable.
I don't want to put my email box.
And it doesn't require us to have separate... Sorry, this is not a conversation, we're speaking one at once.
Well,
I think I've said what I need to say.
right,
Yeah, I mean, as for like email systems, I prefer it if we didn't use Microsoft. I think we shouldn't be using any American systems at the moment, given that it's Epstein files. I mean, the people who earn money from Barnoldswick Town Council named in the Epstein files as paedophiles, and I don't think we should be supporting those companies. So I think if we do set up an email system for councillors, we should self-host it, and we should use free and open source software that doesn't support Apple or Microsoft or Google. But that's an entirely different conversation.
Callum, can I come back to you? Your proposal was that we'll use...
It's plain and simple. We all use those for ingoing and outgoing emails as of the 1st of April 2026. Proposal is there.
So it doesn't matter whether they're forwarding addresses.
Any emails you receive emails from them, if you need to go back to them, you communicate through that email address. That was the proposal. What I said probably 10 minutes ago now, when we've spent this 10 minutes futile discussion about the Epstein files, which I don't get what that's required for when we've got members of the public that have been sat here all night waiting for an item. This could have been done and dusted and boxed off in probably under 2 minutes, but or because someone doesn't want two email addresses because they're different at, which again comes to the point we've got blurred lines between ballot town councillors, Pendle councillors and managed county councillors. And to be able to differentiate what you're doing, who you're representing when you sit around this table.
Right, well you've got a proposal on the table.
Jodie seconded it.
All those in favour? Right, we'll need to look at a mechanism for that then. Greenfield allotments. You again, Carl.
Basically, it's a simple one. Greenfield 2, as I've started calling it, they're almost ready to be started renting to prospective tenants. Obviously, they are literally just stakes, string, that's your plot. So for the first year, I'd like to give them a reduced rent on their tenancy agreement to help them with whether they want to put in fences, with the come together with the neighbouring allotments, put fences in, put sheds up, polytunnels, greenhouses, raised beds, because obviously starting from completely scratch, whereas when some people take over an allotment at the minute, it's stuff already there, they are starting from the bare bones, and I think we should just be giving them the best helping foot we can.
David?
Chairman, just one point. Callum says that they're ready to rock and roll, but I don't think the water is in, and that's going to be quite an extensive operation. So, do we have any idea as to when the water supply is going to be installed?
We've discussed that this afternoon, and Tracy's taking it up with A&G. I think we can't locate the water source because during the winter the water gets turned off for Greenfield 1. So we think they're trying to listen for the flow of water where the end of the pipe is. Can't hear it. So the to go in, say, 2.5 weeks. I don't want to wait till the middle of April to be having this before we start renting them out.
Sorry.
Sorry, can I just suggest the item on the agenda, should we just address that one? Because it's been a long night, there's a lot to be done with the allotments at Greenfield yet. Quite right, David, we're not ready to go. I think we just wanted this to be agreed, so we know where we are when we are ready to go. We will be going back to full more proposals around the allotment and say roles and responsibilities, how the committee works for going forward, and on checklist criteria. So there's quite a lot of work going on. This was just really, wasn't it, Callum? Just get this.
Just
Otherwise, we'll be all out talking about allotments.
Okay, what sort of figure are you looking at?
I don't
What
know.
percentage?
How much is it?
It's 65 a year, so I'm under 50%.
David, you want to come back in?
No,
No.
you know,
Yeah, I was thinking
30 quid.
30, yeah, 30 pound, happy with 30 pound for the
Right.
first year.
So that's your
Yeah, my
proposal.
proposal, yeah.
Do we have a seconder for that? All those in favour? Right, okay.
Cool, see?
These last two are swapping round. So, we're going to talk about bots first. Can I just confirm that bots are definitely not on this year? In its present format?
Chairman,
Are you prepared to
Yeah,
do it from the meeting?
Chairman, I've got a proposal, I gave a notice of motion, which, well, I don't want to get all procedural, but I want to propose my notice of motion,
Okay.
which, you know, according to the standing orders, I should do as a freestanding notice of motion.
Right.
So, Chairman,
Do you have a copy of that for everyone? Because I noticed a couple of gone around the room and we don't all have a copy of
okay.
that.
Chairman,
Emails.
standing order requires that any notice of motion submitted should be included on the agenda in the form that they were set out.
It came out to the agenda.
No, Chairman, that's not the case. Chairman, hard copy, signed hard copy, was delivered here the clear working days in advance of the meeting as required.
10 days.
Yes, 10 clear days. And I delivered the motion from Chris and myself on the Saturday, which was behind the door when Sam would have come in on Monday.
Yeah, no problem with you bringing your motion. I thought we might discuss it a little bit before.
Well,
Is a Saturday clear day?
yeah, absolutely.
Saturdays, Sundays,
Clear days.
first days now.
Chairman, I can assure you that these two motions were submitted in accordance with the standing orders, and I subsequently emailed them through to yourself, the Vice Chair, and the events email in order that there was a electronic copy for inclusion on the agenda.
Can you confirm 10 clear days notice?
Yeah, I had an email before. So I'm alright with that.
May I proceed, Chair?
You may.
Thank you. Right, the proposal is that quotations are obtained for event management consultancy or temporary staff in order to assist with the implementation of the Town Council's 26-27 events programme, and approval be given to commission such work as a matter of urgency. The draft event management plans, together with other necessary documentation, be prepared and confirmation of insurance cover for each event be sought. That quotations be obtained for temporary event infrastructure, supplies and contractors based on the current year's programme, and that applications for road closures be submitted for the town centre events during 2026-27 as a vote. Chairman, I do so in order for the town council to actually plan and put on events, because at the moment there is no authority to get on with anything, and the whole of the events programme is in a vacuum, it's in limbo. This is put forward as a helpful suggestion in order to enable town council events to proceed. And if we don't pass a resolution of this nature, we won't be able to get on with planning, preparing for events during the rest of, during the next financial year. There is no resolution in place that would allow that to happen. So I so move.
Charlie?
Would it not be better if we check with our insurers first to see which events need the planning before we start getting quotes from outside companies? Because certain events will need different types of insurance. It might be better that we actually check with the insurance company before we make any sort of decision tonight and defer it to the next meeting, so that we can get the proper information and then engage for what we need to engage it for.
Chairman, if I follow standing orders, I would respond to the debate at the end. But can I point out that the second part of the resolution says, and confirmation of insurance cover for each event we sought. So the first question would be, is this event covered? Yes it is, fine, crack on. No it isn't. In that case, we need to do something else.
Callum?
It mentioned the 2026-27 events programme, and given the cancellation of the General Purposes Committee, we have not confirmed the 2026-2027 events programme, so I don't think we can be making decisions on getting some event management companies in when we don't know what events we're holding, because we haven't set that, and I'd suggest deferring this item to the next and holding it after an item to confirm the 2026-2027 events programme.
Chairman, can I refer you back to the resolution that's put, that quotations be obtained from contractors based on the current year's programme. So, resolution 3 says we're going to base the planning on the current year's programme, the programme that we have had during 25-26, and then that the applications road quotas be submitted to town centre events during 26-27 as above. So without going into the gory detail of what days we're having the beach or what days we're having the switch on or anything like that, this just says look at the pattern in the current financial year and plan on repeating it in the next financial year.
You excluded box from that.
I have very deliberately not included any reference to Bands on the Square in this resolution.
Well,
Chairman, I believe Sally was just saying that we get a seconder before opening up to debate. I'm happy to second this motion. I think it's eminently sensible that we've approved a budget in line with the current events programme of this financial year for this next financial year, and as such we expect that the event should go ahead as planned, and this is a mechanism to allow that to happen.
I'm not clear what these events are, and nobody seems to want to tell me what the boxes are amongst them.
It's every event that we've had on this past year.
Include box.
Chairman,
Yeah.
well before this stage, we would have been doing advanced preparation for all sorts of events. And because of circumstances, none of that work has been done. There is no authority to proceed with any events, and there's no mechanism in place to allow that preparation. This is a neutral attempt to put something in place that will allow work to go ahead on the necessary work that needs to be done in order for things to happen. And for 3 months now, we have had things put in the way that have prevented this work to go ahead. This is in no shape or form a way of hoodwinking anybody. It's a way of us actually having an events programme based on the current year's activities and leaving to one side bands on the square. And the reason why it leaves to one side bands on the square is because there is still a resolution from the 5th of November that says it should go ahead. And as we have discussed at several previous meetings, without a resolution signed by 7 members of the council, you can't rescind that decision. However, it doesn't mean to say that you have to act on that decision. So this is very carefully constructed to take us forward, not set us back. And I would urge members to vote for it.
Go ahead.
The decision made on the 4th of November went against financial regulations. Yes, it did, because we weren't provided with any risk assessments or proof of insurance, so legally we shouldn't have voted on it, but we didn't know that at the time. So we could either re-vote on it or take it that it's not worth anything anyway. It wouldn't stand up.
I have to say, Bots has been very, very divisive. The problems we're having in this council are all linked to it. Angela?
Well, I said this at the last meeting, then I'll broke out into it. But I think the reason why that we are in this position is because all this wasn't presented back in November, and if it had been presented in November, there would have been a different voting. It's not to stop bots. The people that abstained were not. They just wanted to understand, was insurance in place, who was responsible, were all the risk assessments done. So I'm back here thinking, if this is a genuine attempt to put all that in place, we should support it. There seems to be nervousness around an ulterior motive, that's all. And I think that needs to be on the table and debated, because that's the crux of the matter.
Go ahead.
Is there an ulterior motive?
In one breath it's getting said, this is nothing to do with bots, but we're basing this on the last years of events, which has bots included in it. So in one breath you're saying it's not included, and then the second breath you say it's all the past 12 months of events we're doing, so it's just...
Why don't we do an amendment to that proposal listing the events?
Because we haven't agreed them yet.
Right.
Chris?
The matter of reference to bots, I think it seems fairly clear to me that the reference to bots that you're talking about was the one gone and nothing to do with anything that would or would not be in future.
As I've just said, whatever decision we made on the 5th of November isn't binding anyway due to the financial regulations. So technically it shouldn't be on next year's programme. But, and we as a council and the public would have every right to ask massive questions if it did, if anything to do with bots went ahead,
Yes.
because there'd been no proper vote.
But does, based on, as I say, the belief that the reference to bots in this refers to the past one and not anything at all in the future, would anything that you say there conflict with the proposal? The proposal, as David says, is completely non-specific.
David is under the belief that that motion should stand, whereas I am fully aware it is against, I think it's financial regulation number 11, that we even voted on in the first place.
I think that point might...
It's for David to say, really, what his intention is for next year's. Does he want something under the box name? Does he want to use that weekend for something? If so, is he going to discuss that with us at any point? Or is he just going to go ahead and do something and then throw it at us later? I don't know.
I am still saying, and through you, Chair, does anything that you say there conflict with anything that is in the proposal, assuming that the proposal makes no reference to any specific...
When David read it out, it said based on this year's, obviously, 25-26's calendar, which still includes bots. Now, if we put some sort of thing in that says bots is not part of that, and just as normal, Barlett Beach, and all the rest of the ones that come after that, then that's fine. The copy of David's thing that David's motion I've got, doesn't have that written on it though.
And again, we haven't set the events programme,
No,
so
no.
we might not want to do Fire and Ice next year, we might want to do the beach in August. We might not want to do any events this year, because we're not in time, we don't have to do any events. The only thing we have to do is allotment, so we might say, you know what, this year, we're going to save the taxpayers some money, we're not going to put any events on. We don't know because we've not had that discussion.
Yeah,
Lola.
we won't.
We've done the book, putting it out there.
Sorry, one meeting. Chairman, this programme is for draft event management plans and quotations.
For what though? For what event?
For all of this current year's events.
They've been
the
done.
next
We've done them. We've done this year's events.
You're not, sorry, Cal, can you not chat back, please? One meeting.
Go on, Karen.
Let's chat. The draft event management plans and quotations for all the upcoming events that we've had on this last year for this next year. We haven't got any current plan for any events. All this planning needs to be started now, it needs to already be started, but it hasn't been. If we're not passing something like this tonight, in fact just this, then we can't have any events on.
Can I say something?
And look, I'm just going to finish what I was saying.
Well,
At the budget meeting, we allocated an additional amount of money in the event of event management consultancies being brought in to help with this for this year. Now, in reference to bots, there's no ulterior motive here. The bots committee has made a decision to notify the bands that it may not be going ahead. That might still be the case. However, if it's in the event that we can get somebody in place to do it, the event management plans can be put together in time, including all the necessary paperwork, and it's found that the insurance cover is adequate for the event in time, and everything is done in time to have a successful and safe event, it may be able to go ahead. I don't know. Unlikely. But that's not the point of this motion. This motion is for every other event in the calendar that currently is in abeyance because of the events of the last meeting. And I'd really just urge everyone that there's no ulterior motive here. What is on the page is on the page. And we're all agreeing on the same words.
Angela.
The only way we'll have to come to compromise, and it's to go ahead with this proposal, but to specifically exclude blocks.
Yeah.
And then we get it all in place, and then
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
why can't we? Why can't it be added on later when we decide to reinstate blocks?
We can.
Otherwise, nobody's going to happen this year.
Chairman, I deliberately made no reference to Bandon Square
No.
because our standing orders are such that you cannot move something that negates a decision within 6 months. So, if you put an amendment in to say that we don't have bans on the square, then that is contrary to standing orders, and we've all looked at them earlier on this evening. So, all I'm saying is, look, it just puts bans on the square to one side, just leaves it in its box, and we get on with all the rest of the events. Now, Chairman, let's put it to the vote.
Johnny?
Could we just,
Second, I'll put it to the vote, Chair.
could we just quickly draft a list of the events that we're going to have this year?
Chairman, standing orders say if it's put to the vote that we vote be taken, no further discussion take place on this item.
Yeah. Move that the vote be put.
It's less than 10 minutes to 10 according to that clock, and we have got people sat behind us patiently all night waiting until this final item.
Second.
Can we ask what the people's views are? Because you're all here, you spent all night listening to the longest meeting I've ever been at. I think it's unfair that...
I'd like to say something about
I don't know what the procedure is here, but people allowed to say something?
Well, procedurally, you speak at the start of the meeting.
Well, then
Why didn't you invite
to
me
the
then?
end.
You were here at the start of the meeting.
No, I think you said 7:30.
This guy spoke.
You told me to be here at 7:30. I was here
No,
at 7:28.
I want to say no.
I wrote it down. I've got it on my phone. 7:30.
No, meeting's at 7 o'clock.
Okay. So sat here for 2.5 hours for no reason. And you come to no conclusion on anything because you're so divided, you can't get on and you just fall out. You're not a town council, you're a divided town council. And you need to sort that out and move on. You need to sign that or whatever you need to do and just understand that paperwork is the paperwork. Leave the box off it, stop coming up with another meeting, another this, another that, and get on with stuff. You know, just crack on. You just, it's pathetic. And the fact that you record it and let people look at you all, it's just embarrassing. And you've watched me sit here for 2.5 hours to talk about this subject, and we got to 10 o'clock and you go, anywhere near it. Well, I've got it written down, 7:30. We talked enough. Absolutely. Support him, you lose a lot, to be quite honest. Stop falling out and get on with your job.
Cheers, Lloyd.
Thanks for coming, Mark.
You're welcome. Take care, everyone.
Chairman, we've moved as the vote be put.
Right. We'll put to the vote then. All those in favour? You already have it,
Sorry, I was, yeah. I just feel we need to move on.
Absolutely.
I'll just get this box back in.
We had them all again.
Well, we'll have to manage that doesn't happen, if that's what people think. But we're against it, aren't we? We just want it to be safe and insured.
I'm just against the way this is going to go.
We still have them all against, yeah.
Those against?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Casting votes.
We're equal.
No, Mr. Chairman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I thought it was a majority.
There were 5 votes in favour and 4 votes against. That is carried.
Okay.
5 minutes for
Trust the work's going to be done.
Yeah. We just saw us all that with Gillian. We've all just been falling down the river.
just need to move on, guys. We need to make this work.
Not listening, no.
Move
No,
next
we
business.
need to...
Chairman, move next business.
Right, we've got 5 minutes left to discuss Pride in Place.
Read it out.
Thank you, Chairman. Hopefully very simple. Simply to put on the record. Oh, sorry. Just to put it on the record, the aspirations and intentions as far as the impact fund, and I move.
Can I second the proposal which reaffirms the decisions that the Town Council has already taken and sets out a course of action in order for that to be implemented? With the mover of the resolution's permission, can I suggest an 8th resolution, and that is that an application be submitted to divert footpath number 6 at Greenfield in order to facilitate the possible provision of a pump track on the land at Greenfield. And the reason for moving that amendment to be included in the resolution is so that the 2 options for a location of the pump track can be properly evaluated and implemented within the timescale, which is 31st of March 2027. So we've just got a little over 12 months to get some very significant projects planned, planning permission in place and implemented. So the steps that are set out in Chris's resolution are intended to facilitate the completion of the programme within the available timescale and the investment of over £300,000 in new facilities in Barnoldswick. So I second and just ask the mover of the resolution if he's prepared to accept that addendum.
I do, yes.
Colour.
There's something snuck into the private place at the last meeting when we listed all the things on there, the pump track and a few other things. Since they've gone on, there's been a stage area for the town square being snuck in on those. We weren't previously made aware of that was going to be on a private place, and we previously turned down building on that middle bed at the back of the town square. So I'd like to know whose suggestion that was and why that's been snuck in.
Chairman, the suggestion came from the West Braden Area Committee, which owns the town square.
Can I ask what date that was? Are we meeting that one?
January?
I think the January meeting was, about the budget, and then before
No.
that, between September and...
Chairman, I'm talking about the West Braden Area Committee.
Yes, I know you're right.
Yeah, and Chairman, you were there and suggested that included within that project was the renewal of the tables and chairs.
Yeah, I'm contrary to that, yeah.
I remember a meeting.
And,
I do remember a meeting probably about 18 months ago when we did discuss, obviously before the kind of place funding, about a bandstand idea. But we said we didn't want to make any decisions as town council on that until we had something proper to look at, basically. It's a bit kind of scary, really.
you also don't on the square yet.
Yeah.
Angela was first.
Well, just to add, one of us raised a huge about who didn't, but all I would say is that, there's a lot of criticism about Barnoldswick being too big event. One of the things we're doing with the Town of Culture bid is to celebrate throughout the year with the events and to bring lots of other performances into the town where, you know, of all different descriptions. And you know, if you turn it around, you can actually see it as a really positive thing, not for bands on the square, but for other ways of culture, arts, performance to actually bring that town square alive on a, you know, a whole year basis. And I think it's more about how we design it that's important, and we all have an input into the design of that space and how it's used. That's my take on it.
Oh,
Chair, I'd just point out that we're just noting that that's the list put forward by Kendal Council, and that the actual items that, you know, matter to us as a council materially are supporting projects 1, 4, 5 and 6, which does not include the one brought up by Councillor Hurd. So I'm just debating this item here is not really material to what we're passing here tonight.
Chairman, can I move that the vote be put?
yeah, it's like 10 o'clock now.
Is it a vote? I thought we were just noting it.
It's a resolution put forward, moved and seconded. We need to vote on it.
Can I just check what you're voting on? Sorry for the notes.
It's
The movement of the footpath.
the whole of that resolution
Yeah.
put forward by Councillor Church, together with the wording at the bottom of here, which I read out, which I'll give to Sam.
And Steve's already voted on that, isn't it?
Well, he can't.
Oh, so I thought he could. Right. Well, he did
It's got
vote
all
it.
that across.
Even if he can't vote.
Right, put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Just got one last thing to say, and that is it's been extremely difficult for all of us over this past couple of months. As she's here, I'd like to point out that Sam's been an absolute star.
Yeah, sure.
And what I'm proposing is for the extra time that she's spent, I can't do it, you're going to tell me, aren't you?
Well, no, I'm going to say if you're discussing issues like that, you need to exclude this in public.
Of course. Yeah. So I've declared a meeting